The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi folks, today on Aging Horizons we're going to be talking about APS. That's Adult Protective Services. You know, they do so much for their communities and our whole state of Montana. We have a specific kind of issue that they've been helping with recently that's very important for you to learn about. We have so much to tell you, so stay with us. Final call from like 566.
Hello, gentlemen. May I see your Montana Real IDs?
IDs? Why, I'm Captain Meriwether Lewis.
And I'm Captain William Clark.
Hang on, I see more than one William Clark.
It's the real me, I promise.
Discover more at mtrealid.gov. Available now.
Montana Real ID. It's the real me.
And me.
Sometimes the difference between having the life-saving medications you need and going without is the premium on your Medicare drug insurance. If you are a Montana resident enrolled in the Medicare prescription drug program, you may be eligible to receive help with your premiums, even if you own your home or other assets or think you may have too much income. Call or visit the Big Sky RX website today to find out if you qualify.
There you go, ma'am. See you next month.
Thank you.
Here in Montana, we love our outdoor activities. Unfortunately, few of them are risk-free. Indeed, Montana is second in the nation per capita in head injuries that can destroy the lives of people we love. That's why you should insist your family always wear protective helmets. But you can do even more. When you fill out your vehicle registration this year, circle the Y and donate $1 to support traumatic brain injury prevention and education. Now that's using the old noggin.
I was angry and upset when the doctor told me I have diabetes. I just didn't want to deal with it, the needles and the diet restrictions. But after I started to learn about it, those feelings changed. I was at risk for a heart attack caused by high blood sugar. That got my attention. I started watching my diet and making sure I got enough exercise every day. I want to be around for my grandkids, and now that I know what to do, it seems like a small price to pay.
Ask your doctor about diabetes education or visit montana211.org.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm Kimmy Everman, your host, and today we're going to be talking about Adult Protective Services, or that great acronym we state people like, APS. We have with us Mr. H. And that's just, I'm kidding you, this is Michael Hagenlock, and I was afraid I'd mispronounce your name, so you gave me an out, Mr. H. Thank you very much. Michael, you are the Bureau Chief for Adult Protective Services, working out of the Senior and Long-Term Care Division for Department of Public Health and Human Services. This is a pretty important program, and I mean, I know it, you know it. Let's be sure our audience knows it. What is APS?
Yeah, Adult Protective Services is a program that was put together many years ago. Adult Protective Services is really a social program that's provided through the Department of Public Health and Human Services, and we operate through senior and long-term care. And our job really is to provide that protective services really on a civil level for folks that are over 18 years of age who through different various disabilities or aging infirmities have left them vulnerable to other individuals. And so we're an advocate to go out there and, you know, if somebody's being abused, neglected, or exploited, we'll investigate that and see what we can do to help them in that fashion.
I see.
The other side of our program is that we also help connect the folks in the community with services, whether it's someone, you know, with the State Union on Aging, area agency. I mean, there's just so many programs out there. And so that's our other part of our job, is get folks connected with their community and the services that are available to them.
Well, and you know, one of the really wonderful things about Montana communities is that often the people that might be Adult Protective Services know the folks folks at the area agencies very well, work together many times. They know each other, and so they can work together as a team to help that person get the resource they need.
Absolutely.
Or the support.
We have about 36 investigators across the state, and so we do really cover all 56 counties across Montana. And our investigators are strategically placed around the state, and they do know the local community. They do know the local programs, and they understand the dynamics of each of the various cultures, if you will, in those areas, because every part in Montana there's something a little bit different. And so they're in there and they're working with, and they meet with the community providers, the local law enforcement, the senior centers, all these different areas. And so they really do understand what services are there and how to get them connected.
And I think another reason that's so important is that they know the people that they're working with, and yet they're still objective. They're keeping confidentiality, and they're making sure that that person gets the support they need. And that's really, they're not shouting it from the rooftops or anything like that. And if there's any sort of stigma, there shouldn't be, but they're still keeping all your information confidential.
Absolutely. The big part about our program, and this does frustrate some folks out in the community.
I know it does.
Because we do keep everything confidential. We do not share. We don't tell people what's going on. The adult, our belief is this, that all of us adults have the right to autonomy, and that we have a right to make our own choices and decisions, whether it's about our money, the way we live, or where we live, all those aspects of our life. And it's not our job to go and tell somebody's story. Our job is to stay neutral and non-judgmental in the whole process.
There you are, yes.
And help the individual as they want the help.
Right.
And so when we go and meet with the different folks, whether they're over 60 years of age or somewhere between 18 and 60 that it may have some disabilities that are causing some issues for them, that's what we want to talk to them and find out what they need, what do they want, what is their vision, and how can we best help them. With the other side of that, if somebody's taken advantage of them because of these issues, we want to help put a stop to that.
Exactly.
And do everything we possibly can for that person to get the services they need and feel comfortable, not be shamed, not feel guilty, and so many of these cases that we get involved in are very emotional.
Exactly.
And when things happen to us, it creates some depression, it can create a lot of anxiety, and then we start distrusting and we're not sure what to do. And we want to help those folks to understand they're okay. We can get them the help so they can continue to live independently at home and live the life that they want to do.
Michael, thank you. You've said every single thing I was hoping you would talk about because those are all such important pieces to this enormous puzzle. And I always like to make sure that our audience realizes that groups like Adult Protective Services are not coming with search warrants. They're not coming with guns. They're not coming to take you away. They're coming to support you, as you said, in the way that you need that support, and to give you some options if there are any, and to just treat you with respect and dignity and like you're a human being that's an adult.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. There's so many times that folks out in the community, especially what we call the bad actor out there, that may be taking advantage of somebody, whether it's financially or otherwise, and they get that little bit of a threat, if you don't do these things or you don't give me what I'm asking for, I'm calling APS and they're going to take you away. We don't take people away. We help them stay where they're at. We might help them get to the hospital or their doctor, those kinds of things to get them the help they need. But our ultimate goal is always to make sure that individual stays in their home and live the life as the way they choose.
Exactly. So folks, we've gotten that out of the way. They're not going to come and take you away, throw the handcuffs on, tell you you're doing something that is wrong, whatever the thoughts that you might have, the generalizations, the stereotypes. APS is there to help folks and give support wherever possible. And financial issues are huge right now. When you come back, we're going to talk more about that and APS's help. Stay with us.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
Summer in Montana is a great time to visit your local farmer's market. Enjoy the social atmosphere while shopping for a wide variety of fresh, locally grown produce. Together with both WIC and Senior Farmers Market nutrition programs, you help feed your family 5 or more daily servings of fruits and vegetables for better health. You also help local ag producers and enhance the state's economy. So, for summer fun that's nutritious and helps Montana's economy, shop at your local farmers market.
This is Bill. He just received his new Medicare card and is following some simple rules to protect himself from fraud. He knows to never give out his Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. And this is Nancy. She knows that to detect any problems, she always reads her Medicare summary notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure the billing is correct. Both Bill and Nancy know that anything suspicious can be reported to Montana SMP at 1-800-551-3191.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here with Mr. H, Michael Hagenlock, and we're talking about APS today, or Adult Protective Service. And, you know, as I said in our last segment, Michael, one of the big things that your folks and you are working with right now is some issues with financial exploitation that are getting pretty serious.
Yes.
Talk about that a bit.
Yeah, financial exploitation is definitely hitting the minds and a lot of the news articles and whatnot of what's going on out there. Most folks don't understand the exploitation and really the whole crux of the situation. The recent studies that have been done, MetLife had done a research on this, and they're figuring out approximately $2.9 billion a year is being exploited from our seniors. And this is a growing number. And we could look at some other research out there. It'll tell us it's even much higher. And this result is putting our seniors at risk. You know, we spend our entire life working and doing our job, taking care of our home and our children and our grandchildren, you know, and we hit those golden years, as we used to call them, and say, hey, I'm ready to retire. And they have the money in the bank. They have the investment. Some of us have a nice retirement. Some of us are just enough that we can get by on. And to have somebody come and take that money or those assets from us is devastating. And one of the big problems that we have really found with the exploitation is that the senior person that has been exploited, the mortality rate for them increases almost 300 times.
Oh, I bet. I bet the anxiety, the shame, the guilt of it, the not knowing, and then knowing that you're not getting it back.
Right. I mean, it's, you know, when you think about this, and this is what I really try to explain folks I'm out in the communities talking about this, is that, you know, we spend until we're, you know, 60, 65, 70 years of age, and we finally hit that mark where we can retire and really just go out and enjoy things. And then one day you wake up and your account's been drained down. Maybe you've been a victim of some of the scams out there, which is really done by a lot of strangers. We know about the phone scams, the mail scams, all these things, and we get locked into it because, you know, the old story, if it's too good to be true, we really need to take a look at that. But some of these scammers, they have gotten very, very aggressive, and to the point they're even making threats to individuals. You know, we used to talk about the scam calls calls where individuals were brought in or called in and said, hey, I'm in jail, this is your son, or your son's in, that kind of thing.
Right.
Now they're calling and saying, I have your son and daughter. And if you don't give me this money, you won't see them again. That's how aggressive they get. And of course, they're preying on our emotions.
Of course.
And it's the scaredness, the fear, and so immediately we want to fix this because we want to protect our children.
Of course.
But there's another side of this too, which is the exploitation that happens by some of the people we know, whether it's our family member or somebody maybe from a financial institution or investor program, credit cards, the pieces where they start charging all these fees and all these pieces and components, and it's just devastating when you get locked into some of these things. And to know that somebody that I know and trust has now taken advantage of me, whether it's through a power of attorney or a guardianship type situation, or just flat out because I know you and I've asked you for help, and maybe I put your name on my bank account, and next thing I know, my bank account's going down and down, and I don't know why. And we get called a lot on those kind of situations. We work very closely with our local law enforcement, the Attorney General's office, the State Auditor's office, victim services. There's just so many programs we work with, and when we hear these stories, we want to get out there. And the big message now we want to get out to folks is that the financial exploitation does happen right here in Montana.
Yeah.
This last year alone, that we dealt with over 1,000 cases of exploitation, and to try to recoup that money is very, very difficult.
Oh, for sure.
And we don't want, if you just suspect that something's not right, please don't wait, call us.
Right.
We have avenues where we can help you with those.
Right. And we're going to put the number up because I keep forgetting to say I want to run the number so that people have that down if they do need to call you, because you, as you said, do not wait. If you even have a little red flag,
call us. Yeah, absolutely.
The best thing that could happen would be there's probably nothing going on here after whatever. But if something's going on, these are folks that, especially at ages that they can't go out and make another fortune.
No, they can't. They've made their money, and I know I'm one of those that are getting closer with the baby boomers and everything else. We've worked hard, and I know with my own mother and father and some of our grandparents out there still, they all worked hard. And it's devastating, and often people wonder, really what is financial exploitation? The bottom line is this: it's the taking of your money or assets from you. It's not doing what's in your best interest.
And without your permission.
Yeah, exactly. Even though I might have signed a power of attorney or had a conservator put in place or some kind of mechanism to protect these, that person that is really acting as my agent, their duty is to maintain those assets and those funds in my best interest, not theirs.
Right, exactly.
Just because I've signed a piece of paper that says I want you to be my financial power of attorney, that person is still responsible to make sure all that money is held for me.
You didn't sign a paper that said I allow you to be a criminal about my...
Exactly.
Because let's face it, it's a crime.
It is a crime, and it's, what we tell people out there is these documents that we sign, which are very important to have, the power of attorneys for medical and financial, living wills, they absolutely are important, but they are not licensed to steal from the individual. Just because I agreed to be somebody's power of attorney does not give me that authority to spend their money how I want to.
Absolutely right. And folks, we have a whole lot more to tell you about this. We don't want you to get caught in this situation. Give you a little bit of information that will really help you avoid, hopefully, something terrible in the future. We've got a lot more. Stay with us.
I was outside working on some equipment, nothing too strenuous. I started sweating and feeling out of breath.
When he felt pressure in his chest and aching in his arms, I knew we had to call 911.
First responders were there before we knew it. 38 minutes later, the doctors had restored the blood flow to my heart.
Now we know dialing 911 saved his life.
Your life is on the line.
This message sponsored by Mission Lifeline Montana.
I take care of my wife at home. When I found out training was available, I said, sign me up. It's made a huge difference.
When my husband was injured at work, it was life-altering. The classes taught me that it's okay to grieve, to ask for help, and to better cope as a caregiver.
My dad lives 4 hours away, and the Powerful Tools classes taught me that it's okay to ask for help. I highly recommend them.
To find out about this course for caregivers, go to powerfultoolsforcaregivers.org.
It's amazing the difference a little training can make.
Out here, we love our animals, from the wildlife to the livestock. Inside, it's the same. They're just like family. We keep them happy and healthy, most of the time. Secondhand smoke puts pets at risk for cancer, feline lymphoma, vomiting, increases the risk of tumors and lung cancer, even causes eye and skin disease. Secondhand smoke puts your pet's life at risk.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here with Michael Hagenlock and we're talking about adult protective services today. And one of the things that you and your group and other partners really work on, especially right now, is financial exploitation with our seniors and adults with disabilities. Now, one question I have is who might be at risk for having, some challenges or issues with this?
Yeah, each one of us, depending on what our lifestyle's like and whether it's disability or aging and the problems that sometimes come with this, can put us at risk. As I've talked before, folks say, well, gee, I can't remember these different things. Well, folks, at age 53, we start losing some of our executive functioning a little bit. It starts decreasing, so that's kind of a norm. But then when you compound that with particular, cognitive issues or things of that nature, it can make things a little more difficult for us. So when we really kind of break these things down, with our elderly especially, they become a target. They're at risk because they have this steady income coming in, whether it's through their Social Security, whether it's through their investments, whatever their funding source is, their pensions. And so they have that steady income coming in. And then on top of that, as the elder population in the state of Montana, including our baby boomers now, we have really the most amount of wealth out there in cash, investments, and property. So that in itself can make us a target.
Absolutely.
And because that some of us really treat this as a private matter, and so we don't always seek out the assistance that we probably should, talking to financial advisors and, even within our own family. But as we age and get older, or even sometimes with our disabilities, we're not as social as we used to be. And so sometimes the isolation can put us at risk. So we encourage people, stay involved in your community, stay out there so people can help and talk and keep yourself active. Because the more we isolate and we don't get involved, that actually puts us at risk because people will identify that a particular individual doesn't leave the home very often, and so then they might befriend that person and work their way in that maybe never have before. Some of our family members out there, unfortunately, we hear about the baby boomers, the what do they call that, the boomerang and such. And as family members, we always want to take care of our family. But pretty soon, somebody's moving into our house, and now they're living in our home, and then we're trying to help them. Well, next thing you know, they've got access to your bank accounts. They know where stuff is in the house. They know your intimate secrets, it really is what it comes down to, and they may take advantage of that.
So let's say that there's a friend or a family member who feels like this might be going on for someone they care about. What should they do?
They really should call us right away. Again,
put the number up.
By calling us right away or going to our website, www.aps.mt.gov, let us know. just because the report was made does not mean that somebody's done something wrong, but it'll cue us in to go and talk with you and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And we would rather do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, many of the calls we get, they've known for the last 6 months or year this has been going on, and now they just don't know what else to do because they're becoming devastated. So the minute you believe something's not right, whether it's yourself or other family members out there, anyone that sees this, we had a young gal that we were working with, and we found out that she was very prominent in the community and such, and she was one of those, the hair appointments, and the gals always tell me, hair appointments you don't mess with.
Hey, that's the truth.
And, so she always went there. She had her mani-pedis done, all these kind of things, very social. Well, pretty soon that stopped, and when the friends went by, her hair wasn't done. She wasn't doing the mani-pedis anymore. And so they thankfully called us right away and said, hey, something's not right here. Would you please, we think something's not right. We know that another family member's moved into the house. And we did. At the end of the day, we were able to stop what was going on and get this situation rectified so this person didn't become very devastated. At the same time, they become very frail to that, and fear and shame does set in. And they think, how did I let this happen? This must be my fault.
Right.
Please don't blame yourself for this. None of us go out there to be scammed or exploited. These things do happen. That's why we say, just call us. We'll come in, we'll help. If there's nothing going on, it might be that you and or your caregiver or the individual working with you may not know all the resources that are available. And then we'll help you get to those resources. Often we'll call our legal service developer program, and they've got wonderful resources and connections in the community as well. And so we'll want to get with them, and they can help you out. Once we've got those connections made, adult protectives will go away until you call us back in. Because that's really what our job is to protect folks out there and make sure you're getting the service and support that you need.
Right. And I think for people in those situations, they do become desperate, they do become devastated and frail, and they sort of lose their feeling that anything can be done. And it really is I shouldn't say as easy as a phone call, because that's not easy to someone, but for them to just call that number that's on our screen, that's just the first step. That's all they have to do, is that first step, reach out, and from there you can get the help and support that you need. And maybe you just need to talk to somebody about a few things.
Absolutely.
Bounce a few things off. I guess I just think your folks are great. So glad we have this program, and so glad that you're working specifically on this financial exploitation. I know that at my own home, we've gotten several of the IRS calls, and those are frightening, Michael. Right. They're frightening because you're right. People get aggressive, and they sort of poke at a few of the things in life that we're the most worried about.
Right.
So thank you for being with us today, Michael. We sure appreciate it. And folks, just call the number. If you have any kind of concern, if you think you might need a little support, call the number. That's all you have to do. Nothing bad will happen. We had a great time today. Thanks for being with us with the show, and we'll see you next time on Aging Horizons.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.